Ну что, господа хорошие, и, конечно же, прекрасные дамы, вечно пытающиеся разгадать эту ходячую загадку под названием «мужчина», устали от слащавых советов и тестов. Любит, не любит. Сегодня ныряем внутрь, где истинные чувства проявляются на ином уровне. Забудьте про букеты и громкие признания. Говорим о том, что происходит за закрытыми дверями спальни. Ведь именно там, в этом священном пространстве, когда маски сброшены, проявляются настоящие признаки того, что мужчина любит. И поможет нам в этом великий Карл Юнг, мастер компаса в бессознательном. Он знал, что истинное поведение мужчины в постели – это карта его души. Вы узнаете, как мужчина проявляет любовь на самом деле, и какие признаки влюблённости мужчины являются неоспоримым доказательством. Раскроем самые тайные признаки любви, те, что красноречивее серенад. Это будет погружение в психологию мужчин, где рассмотрим конкретные признаки любви в постели, мелочи, выдающие его с головой. Если готовы к откровенным, дерзким, но правдивым откровениям, пристегните ремни. И да, если цените наш труд, ваша оплата, лайк, подписка и комментарий, ведь нам интересно ваше мнение. Теперь погнали разбираться, что же делают мужчины, когда их накрывает по-настоящему. Признак первый – взгляд в душу. Начнем с классики. Глубокий зрительный контакт во время близости. Тот самый взгляд, когда он не просто смотрит, а будто пытается заглянуть в суть вашей души, прочитать желания и страхи, демонстрируя свои. Карл Юнг говорил, встреча двух личностей подобна контакту двух химических веществ. Если есть хоть малейшая реакция, изменяются оба элемента. Этот контакт и есть химическая реакция, катализатор слияния. Когда мужчина на пике уязвимости не отводит взгляд, а ищет ваши глаза, задерживая пронзительный и нежный взгляд, это акт капитуляции. Он позволяет видеть его настоящего, без прикрас, сырого, с его демонами и ангелами. Такой уровень открытости требует мужества и глубочайшего доверия. Большинство мужчин, привыкших менять партнерш, избегают такого душевного стриптиза. Секс для них – спорт, но не священнодействие. Поймать и удержать взгляд, полный обожания и уязвимости, способны те, кто действительно влюблен, готов рискнуть. Это его бессознательное говорит: «Я здесь, я весь твой, и я не боюсь». Если он отводит глаза, это сигнал, что он не готов к глубине, боится ее или не испытывает тех чувств. Это его тень по Юнгу, скрытые страхи не дают ему довериться. Так что, дамы, смотрите внимательно. Если его глаза – распахнутые ворота в его мир, вы для него не просто трофей. Этот взгляд – лакмусовая бумажка. Не подделать, если он не гениальный актер. Но даже актер проколется. Истинная эмоция живет в микромимике. Готовы к следующему пункту? Если этот взгляд впечатлил, приготовьтесь. Дальше действие еще красноречивее. Это был важный момент, приоткрывающий дверь в алхимию чувств, где говорят тело и души. Признак второй – ее радость. Следующий пункт – приоритет вашего удовольствия над его собственным. Когда мужчина искренне, не для галочки, стремится доставить вам максимум наслаждения, порой забывая о себе, это верный признак, что его чувства вышли за рамки простого «переспать». Юнг утверждал, там, где царит любовь, нет места воли к власти. В контексте секса, любящий мужчина не стремится доминировать или самоутвердиться за ваш счет. Его главная цель – видеть ваше лицо, искаженное от удовольствия, слышать ваши стоны, чувствовать отклик тела. Это не безвольное рабство, а эмпатическое слияние, где ваша радость – его радость. Мужчина, желающий снять напряжение, сосредоточен на себе, торопится, использует стандартные приемы, мало интересуясь вашей реакцией, а после финала отвалится и засопит. Это проявление его тени, эгоистичных импульсов. Но когда в игру вступает любовь, его эго отступает, а на авансцену выходит анима, внутренняя женская часть психики, отвечающая за нежность, заботу и стремление к глубокой связи. Она шепчет: «Сделай ей хорошо, и тебе станет лучше». И он слушается. Вы заметите это во внимательном изучении вашего тела, запоминании эрогенных зон, в экспериментах, если вам это нравится, в вопросах о ваших ощущениях. Он будет нежен и напорист там, где нужно, читая желания по вздохам и движениям, растягивая прелюдию, не успокаиваясь до вашей блаженной улыбки. Это алхимия двух душ, о которой говорил текст, вдохновленный Юнгом. Такой подход – не просто хороший любовник, а мужчина по-настоящему влюбленный, ценящий вас как личность. Если ваш мачо в постели – заботливый садовник, выращивающий цветок вашего удовольствия, а не лесоруб, ставьте ему плюс в графе. Узнали своего. Не спешите с выводами. Впереди еще два мощнейших признака. Это было важно, но мы лишь подбираемся к самым интимным проявлениям его души. Признак третий – близость после. Мы подобрались к экватору. Что происходит после страсти, когда тело расслаблены? Постсексуальная нежность и эмоциональная открытость. Многие считают акт финалом, но ангел любви прячется в послемоментах. Юнг писал, что сновидение – это маленькая, хорошо спрятанная дверь, которая ведет в ту изначальную космическую ночь, какой была душа еще до возникновения сознания. Моменты после секса, когда контроль ослабевает, похожи на сновидение, на Еву. Душа мужчины приоткрывает потайную дверцу. Если мужчина после кульминации немедленно отворачивается, это был физиологический акт. Он не ищет или боится эмоциональной связи. Эго восстанавливает контроль. Стеночки отчуждения вырастают снова. Но если мужчина притягивает вас, нежно гладит волосы, целует, тихо шепчет, делится сокровенными мыслями, воспоминаниями или просто лежит, обняв, и вы чувствуете биение его сердца, это золото высшей пробы. Это бессознательное стремление продлить близость, перевести ее с физического на эмоциональный, душевный уровень. Его анима снова берет верх, требуя единения, слияния. Влюбленный мужчина инстинктивно понимает, что моменты после секса – плодородное время для углубления связи, для уязвимости и доверия. Он не боится показаться слабым. Рядом с вами он в безопасности. Его принимают таким, какой он есть. Он может молча смотреть вам в глаза, и в этом молчании будет больше любви, чем в 1000 признаний. Или рассказывать о мечтах, страхах, знак высочайшего доверия. Ведь мужчина неохотно делится внутренним миром, его персона, социальная маска, сползает, и вы видите истинное «я». По Юнгу, величайшая и важнейшая проблема жизни – это примирение с самим собой. Открытость мужчины после секса значит, что он на пути к этому примирению, и вы ему помогаете. Обращайте внимание на эти мелочи, как он держит, что говорит или о чем молчит. В них скрыт пласт информации о его чувствах. Если после секса вы чувствуете себя любимой, окруженной теплом, а не использованной, вы не ошиблись. Если же остается пустота, это не любовь, а просто секс. Признак четвертый – танец двоих. Ну что, мои дорогие искатели истины в мужских сердцах, признаемся честно, в его поведении там, где слова излишни, готовы к самому сокровенному, к вишенке на торте наших откровений. Если первые 3 признака были важными, но, скажем так, более-менее объяснимыми с точки зрения банальной психологии, то сейчас мы погружаемся в область почти мистическую, в то, что старина Карл Юнг мог бы назвать проявлением коллективного бессознательного в действии. А мы по-простому – танец двоих. Это та самая бессознательная синхронизация движений, дыхания, даже сердцебиения, которая происходит между двумя по-настоящему близкими людьми, особенно в моменты интимного единения. Речь идет не о заученных позах, камасутре и не о слаженной акробатике, а о той едва уловимой, почти магической гармонии, когда ваше тело словно ведут безмолвный диалог, предугадывая желания и движения друг друга без единого слова или даже взгляда. Вы когда-нибудь замечали, как, лежа в объятиях, вы одновременно меняете позу, словно по невидимой команде? Или как его рука находит вашу именно в тот момент, когда вам нужна поддержка? Или как ваше дыхание вдруг замедляется и подстраивается под его ритм, создавая ощущение полного, почти космического слияния? Вот это оно и есть, тот самый танец, хореографом которого выступает само бессознательное, а музыкой служит глубокая эмоциональная связь. Юнг считал, что человек не может избавиться от самого себя, покуда он не примет самого себя. И в этом танце мужчина, принимающий себя и вас, позволяет своему телу говорить на языке, который древнее всех слов, языке инстинктов, языке души, стремящейся к единству. Это явление, которое современная наука робко называет лимбической синхронизацией или зеркальным отражением. Юнг бы отнес к проявлениям архетипа божественной пары, того самого стремления к целостности через слияние с другим, которое заложено в нас на самом глубоком уровне. Когда мужчина глубоко влюблен, его нервная система инстинктивно настраивается на вашу волну. Его тело перестает быть просто физической оболочкой и становится продолжением его чувств, его души, жаждущей резонанса с вами. Это были два следующих признака истинной мужской любви, проявленной на самом глубинном уровне. Замечали ли вы подобные проявления в своих отношениях? Это не имитация, не подражание. Он может неосознанно повторять ваши жесты. Его прикосновения будут идеально соответствовать вашим потребностям в данный конкретный момент, даже если вы их не озвучивали. Его тело будет обнимать ваши так, словно оно создано специально для этого. Сравните это с неловкими, рассогласованными движениями случайных партнеров, где каждый остро осознает свою отдельность, где тело остается в обороне, а движения просчитаны и лишены спонтанности. Там нет места этому танцу, там есть только механика. Но когда присутствует любовь, необходимость в этой бдительности и контроле отпадает. Защитные барьеры рушатся, и тело начинают петь в унисон. Юнг писал: «Все, что не устраивает нас в других, позволяет нам лучше понять самих себя». И, возможно, эта бессознательная синхронизация – это еще и способ тела сказать: мы настолько понимаем и принимаем друг друга, что даже наше движение становится единым целым. Это самый честный и неподдельный из всех тайных признаков любви, потому что тело не умеет врать так, как язык. Если вы ощущаете эту почти мистическую синхронность, эту легкость и естественность в совместных движениях, знайте, ваша связь вышла далеко за пределы простого физического влечения. Это уже уровень душевного родства, воплощенного в телесном танце. И если вы досмотрели до этого момента и готовы к самому главному, к тому, чтобы понять, откуда все эти чудеса берутся, просто поставьте плюс в комментариях или киньте любой смайлик. Это займет секунду, а мы будем знать, что вы с нами и готовы к посвящению в самые глубины юнгианской мудрости о любви. Теория Юнга – глубина чувств. А теперь к сути, к тому, что лежит в основе всех этих проявлений. Ну что ж, мои пытливые умы, раз вы все еще здесь и даже отсалютовали плюсиками, значит, готовы нырнуть в самую кроличью нору, в теоретические дебри, которые на самом деле окажутся не такими уж и страшными, а наоборот, чертовски увлекательными и все объясняющими. Мы с вами разобрали 4 мощных поведенческих признака, которые выдают влюбленного мужчину с головой. Но теперь самый главный вопрос: а почему это так работает? Откуда берется эта магия взглядов, самоотверженность, нежность после и этот синхронный танец? Ответ кроется в глубинной психологии мужчин, как ее понимал Карл Юнг, и в его ключевых концепциях, таких как анима, тень и процесс индивидуации через отношения. Для Юнга любовь – это не просто мимолетная эмоция или социальный ритуал. Это прежде всего мощнейшее психологическое событие, катализатор личностного роста и столкновения сознательного с огромным неизведанным миром бессознательного. В основе его теории лежит идея о том, что в каждом мужчине, как и в каждой женщине, анима слдж анимус, живет анима, его внутренняя, часто неосознаваемая женская сторона. Образ идеальной женщины, сформированный его личным опытом, отношениями с матерью, культурными влияниями и коллективными архетипами. Когда мужчина по-настоящему влюбляется, он, по сути, проецирует свою аниму на конкретную женщину. Она кажется ему знакомой, родной, той самой недостающей частью, потому что она резонирует с этим его внутренним образом. Юнг говорил, проекция прекращается, когда ее бессознательность становится явной для субъекта, то есть когда он осознает, что перенес свое собственное субъективное содержание на объект. Но до этого осознания, в момент влюбленности, эта проекция создает невероятно сильное притяжение, ощущение узнавания и предназначенности. Однако это только начало пути. Истинная зрелая любовь по Юнгу требует гораздо большего. Она требует встречи не только с идеализированным образом, но и с тенью партнера, а главное, со своей собственной тенью. Тень Это те аспекты нашей личности, которые мы не принимаем, подавляем, считаем плохими или недостойными. Наши страхи, эгоизм, агрессия, слабости – все эти теневые стороны неизбежно вылезают наружу в отношениях, особенно в интимной близости. Именно здесь и происходит настоящая проверка чувств. Если мужчина, и женщина тоже, готов встретиться с этими демонами, своими и чужими, не убегая и не разрушая все вокруг, а пытаясь их понять, принять и интегрировать, тогда любовь становится путем к индивидуации, к обретению целостности. Именно поэтому поведение мужчины в постели так показательно. В моменты уязвимости и отсутствия социальных масок его бессознательное говорит громче всего. Глубокий зрительный контакт – это готовность показать свою душу, включая тень. Приоритет удовольствия партнерши – это проявление интегрированной анимы, способной к эмпатии и самоотдаче, а не только теневого эгоизма. Постсексуальная нежность – это смелость быть уязвимым, когда защиты эго ослаблены. Асинхронный танец – это уже проявление той самой целостности, когда двое находят гармонию на самом глубоком архетипическом уровне. Юнг считал, что человек, не прошедший через ад собственных страстей, не преодолеет их никогда. И любовь, в его понимании, это и есть тот самый ад, то горнило, в котором происходит алхимическая трансформация личности, превращение свинца наших низменных инстинктов и страхов в золото осознанной, зрелой любви и самопознания. Так что все эти признаки того, что мужчина любит, это не просто милые штучки, это маркеры его движения по пути индивидуации, его готовности к настоящей близости, которая меняет и его, и вас. Понимая это, вы сможете видеть не просто хорошего любовника, а человека, который рядом с вами растет, развивается и становится лучшей версией себя. И это, пожалуй, самый главный признак любви в постели и за ее пределами. Заключение – истинная связь. Ну вот, мои дорогие, мы с вами совершили настоящее путешествие в самые сокровенные уголки мужской души и постельных тайн, вооружившись мудростью великого Карла Юнга. Мы разобрали 4 ключевых, почти безошибочных признака, по которым можно определить, что мужчина не просто увлечен вами физически, а действительно глубоко, по-настоящему влюблен. От пронзительного взгляда, способного заглянуть в душу, через самоотверженное стремление к вашему удовольствию и нежную уязвимость после близости, до почти мистического танца синхронных движений. Все это не просто случайные жесты, а язык его бессознательного, на котором оно говорит о любви громче любых слов. И теперь вы знаете, что за всеми этими проявлениями стоит нечто гораздо большее, чем просто химия. За этим стоит сложный психологический процесс, описанный Юнгом, включающий проекцию анимы, встречу с тенью и стремление к индивидуации через глубокую эмоциональную связь. Так что в следующий раз, оказавшись в объятиях своего избранника, вы сможете быть не просто участницей страстного действа, а внимательным и мудрым наблюдателем, способным отличить подлинное золото чувств от позолоченной безделушки мимолетного влечения. Помните, тело редко лжет, особенно в моменты, когда контроль сознания ослаблен. Слушайте его безмолвные сигналы, доверяйте своей интуиции, и вы всегда будете знать, где вы на самом деле стоите в его сердце и в его жизни. Это знание, ваша сила, ваша уверенность и ваш ключ к построению по-настоящему глубоких и осмысленных отношений, где любовь – это не просто слово, а ежедневная, ежечасная, ежеминутная реальность, воплощенная в тысячи невидимых нитей, связывающих две души в одну. Мы очень надеемся, что это погружение в мир психологии мужчин и юнгианских концепций было для вас не только интересным, но и полезным. Если это так и вы узнали что-то новое или подтвердили свои догадки, обязательно поделитесь своими мыслями, историями и наблюдениями в комментариях ниже. Нам дико интересно почитать, какие признаки влюблённости мужчины вы замечали в своей жизни и как мужчина проявляет любовь по вашему опыту. Ну и конечно, если вы цените наш труд и хотите больше таких глубоких разборов, не забудьте отблагодарить нас местной валютой, вашим царским лайком и подпиской на канал, чтобы не пропустить следующие выпуски, где мы продолжим вскрывать самые интересные и неоднозначные темы из мира отношений, секса и человеческой души. Ведь мы делаем это с любовью и для вас.
You get Zoish, how you doing? Let's go and rock. Tony Robbins! Listen to me, life is not waiting for you. It's not slowing down until you feel ready. Every single day you hesitate. Every excuse you buy into, every I'll start tomorrow you whisper to yourself is stealing from the future you could already be living. And the truth is brutal. Nobody's coming to rescue you. Nobody's coming to hand you the life you dream of. If you keep drifting, if you keep living small, life will punish you with regret, so heavy it will crush everything inside you. The clock is ticking. Your window is closing. This is the moment to wake up, because toughen your mind or the world will break it. Before we even begin, I want you to know something. If you're serious about breaking limits and staying consistent every single day, I've built a space for you. Our official Tony Robbins WhatsApp channel. That's where you'll get daily unstoppable motivation, raw reminders, and the kind of fuel that keeps you moving when the world tries to slow you down. The link is waiting for you right below in the description or in the pinned comments. But right now, listen to me, because this moment could be the very one that rewrites your life. So, let's begin with this. Toughen your mind or the world will break it. I need you to hear that, not just as a sentence, not just as a clever phrase, but as the truth that will decide the quality of your life. Because life isn't gentle. Life isn't soft. Life doesn't care about your comfort zone or your excuses. Life will test you. It will test your patience, your endurance, your resilience, your courage. And if your mind is fragile, if it's built on convenience and comfort, it will snap like a twig under the weight of pressure. But if you choose right now to toughen your mind, to forge it in fire, then the same pressures that break others will be the resistance that strengthens you. Think about steel. Steel is forged in fire, hammered, bent, shaped. And yet the more it's pressed, the stronger it becomes. That's what your mind has to be. If you avoid the fire, if you avoid the pressure, you remain brittle. And brittle things shatter. You see, people think life breaks them because life is unfair. That's not true. Life breaks them because they never prepared themselves for the inevitable. They built castles on sand. They tied their self-worth to people's opinions. They expected the world to be gentle, to hand them favors, to make room for them without resistance. That's not reality. The reality is this: the world respects strength. The world respects resilience. The world bends to the person who refuses to break. The question is not, will life hit me? The question is, when it hits, will I be strong enough to rise again? So hear me. Toughen your mind. Condition it the way an athlete conditions their body. An athlete doesn't wait until the championship game to start training. They push, they sweat, they discipline themselves long before the spotlight. Why? Because they know that when the moment comes, when the pressure is unbearable, they won't have time to rise to the occasion. They will fall back on their preparation. And the same is true for you. When the storms of life hit, and they will, you will not rise magically. You will fall back on the strength of the mind you've been building. If your mind is weak, every rejection will feel like destruction. Every failure will feel like finality. Every obstacle will look like a wall instead of a doorway. But if your mind is tough, rejection becomes redirection. Failure becomes feedback. Obstacles become training grounds. The difference isn't in the event, it's in the lens through which you experience it. And that lens is forged by how tough your mind is. So I'm asking you, will you let the world break you, or will you toughen your mind until you become unbreakable? Because the truth is, no one is coming to rescue you. No one is going to carry you across the finish line. It's on you. You either cultivate the strength, or you collapse under the weight. Decide right now that you will not be the person who collapses. Decide right now that your mind will be your strongest muscle, your greatest weapon, your unshakable foundation. Now listen, don't wish life was easier. Build yourself stronger. This is the second truth. Most people waste their lives begging for softer circumstances, wishing for fewer problems, praying for challenges to disappear. But that mindset is poison, because life doesn't get easier. The storms don't stop. The pressure doesn't let up. You don't control the size of the waves, you control the size of the boat. Weak people want calm seas. Strong people build ships that can withstand hurricanes. If you wish for an easier life, you're telling the universe, I'm not willing to grow. You're choosing victimhood, you're choosing stagnation. You're saying, I can't handle more, so please give me less. But the ones who rise, the ones who lead, the ones who build legacies, they don't ask for less. They demand more of themselves. They say, pile it on, give me the weight, give me the challenge, because I refuse to remain the same. Strength is not built in the absence of struggle. Strength is born in the middle of it. Think about muscles. You don't grow muscle by wishing the weights were lighter. You grow muscle by lifting heavier and heavier load. The resistance tears the fibers, and in the recovery you come back stronger. Life works the exact same way. Every challenge is a weight. Every setback is resistance. And if you lean into it, if you choose to embrace it, you will expand. You will grow. You will become someone who doesn't just survive, someone who dominates. Stop asking for ease. Stop begging for comfort. Stop waiting for life to soften its blows. Instead, rise to meet them. Change the identity you hold. You are not fragile. You are not weak. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are a warrior in training. You are a gladiator in the arena. And every blow you take, every cut, every scar, it's not proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're being forged into someone unstoppable. Don't misunderstand me. This is not about denying pain. Pain will be there. Pain is real, but when you build yourself stronger, pain becomes the proof of growth. You stop associating pain with punishment, and you start associating it with progress. That's the shift. That's the identity change. That's when your entire life changes. Life doesn't honor the one who complains. Life honors the one who grows. And growth never comes from ease. Growth comes from resistance, from challenge, from stepping into what scares you and demanding strength from yourself you didn't even know was there. So if you've been waiting for life to give you a break, stop waiting. The break is not coming. The easier road is not coming. But something better can come. You stronger than you've ever been. You resilient beyond recognition. You unshakable in a world that crumbles under pressure. Don't wish life was easier. Build yourself stronger. That is the secret. That is the call to rise. That is the truth that once you embody it will make you unstoppable. Because the storms are not going away. But you can become the storm. Pressure doesn't destroy you, unpreparedness does. Pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is not the monster under your bed. Pressure is the test, the fire, the stage where your preparation or lack of it gets exposed. Think about it. Two people can face the same weight, the same heat, the same demand. One collapses, the other grows stronger. The difference is not in the pressure, it's in what they brought into the moment. It's in the training they either embraced or avoided. It's in the conditioning they either built or neglected. Pressure will always show you the truth about yourself. If you're fragile, it will expose that fragility. If you're strong, it will magnify that strength. That's why you must stop fearing pressure and start fearing being unprepared. Because unpreparedness is the real assassin. It's the quiet killer. It's the thing that looks harmless when you skip the small disciplines, when you cut corners, when you tell yourself, I'll get serious tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes, and the storm hits, and suddenly you realize you don't have the foundation. Suddenly you realize you can't handle the weight. Suddenly you realize that all those little choices compounded into weakness. Look at high performers. Look at champions. Do you think they succeed because the pressure is less? No. The pressure is greater. The spotlight is brighter. The stakes are higher, but they've trained their minds and bodies so relentlessly that when the pressure comes, they don't crumble, they execute. Pressure simply pulls out what's already inside. That's why Kobe could hit a game-winning shot with seconds left. That's why Navy SEALs can function in chaos when most people would freeze. It's not luck, it's not magic, it's preparation. Pressure destroys only the unprepared. So if you want to live free, if you want to dominate instead of being dominated, you need to build the habit of readiness. Discipline yourself when no one is watching. Train when it's boring, push when you don't feel like it. Because when the spotlight comes on, when the storm arrives, you won't have time to build yourself. You'll only have time to reveal yourself. And here's the reality, pressure is coming. Whether you like it or not, life will test you. It will test your patience, your finances, your relationships, your health. And the test will not wait until you're ready. It will come when it comes, and you will either be exposed or elevated. Don't let yourself be the one who collapses and says, I wasn't ready. That phrase has destroyed more dreams than rejection ever has. So today, right now, make the decision you will not fear pressure. You will not curse pressure. You will not avoid pressure. You will use pressure as your training ground. You will use pressure as proof that you are prepared, and if you're not prepared yet, you will start now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because pressure doesn't destroy you, unpreparedness does. And the clock is ticking. Discipline is the fortress that keeps storms from breaking you. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is protection. Discipline is freedom. Most people hear the word discipline and they shrink back. They think of restriction, of suffering, of being robbed of pleasure. But that's because they don't understand what discipline really is. Discipline is the structure that allows you to face chaos without collapse. Discipline is the fortress you build brick by brick, so that when the storms of life come, and they always come, you are not exposed, you are not destroyed, you are not swept away. Without discipline, you are naked in the storm. Every temptation seduces you. Every distraction derails you. Every challenge crushes you. Because you have no structure, no foundation, no walls to protect you. But with discipline, you are fortified. With discipline, you can withstand temptation. You can ignore distraction. You can face challenge after challenge and remain unshaken. That's what discipline gives you. It is not about suffering, it's about safeguarding. Think of it this way. The undisciplined person is like a house of straw. It looks fine when the sun is shining, when the weather is calm, but the moment the winds rise, it's gone. Discipline is the brick, the stone, the concrete. It may take longer to build, it may require effort, consistency, sweat, but when the storm comes, it's the only house still standing. That's what your life needs to be, a fortress built by discipline. And discipline doesn't begin in the big dramatic moments. It begins in the small, seemingly insignificant choices. Getting up when the alarm rings, saying no when temptation calls, finishing what you started, even when it gets boring, keeping your word when nobody's watching. Every small act is a brick. Every brick strengthens your walls. And over time, you become unshakable. People say they want freedom, but they resist discipline. What they don't realize is that without discipline, you're not free. You're enslaved. Enslaved to your impulses. Enslaved to your emotions. Enslaved to circumstances. Freedom only belongs to the discipline, because only discipline gives you control. Control over your time. Control over your energy. Control over your direction. The undisciplined person prays for life to be easy. The disciplined person prepares for life to be hard. That's why the disciplined thrive while others collapse. That's why the disciplined create while others consume. That's why the disciplined are trusted with responsibility, with leadership, with influence, because people know they will not break under pressure. So understand this. Discipline is not optional. If you want an extraordinary life, discipline is your fortress. Discipline is your shield. Discipline is your weapon. Without it, you're vulnerable. With it, you're untouchable. And if you've been living without discipline, today is the day you start stacking bricks. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone to hold your hand. Pick one act of discipline today and commit to it. Then another tomorrow. Then another. And soon, you'll realize you've built walls so strong that storms can't shake you. You'll realize you've built a fortress inside yourself. That's the identity shift. You are not fragile. You are not at the mercy of the storm. You are the disciplined one. You are the one who builds. You are the one who stands. And when the world looks around at the destruction, at the chaos, at the brokenness, you'll be the one still standing. Not because the storm was easier on you. Not because you were lucky, but because you built the fortress discipline provides. Pressure doesn't destroy you, unpreparedness does. Discipline is the fortress that keeps storms from breaking you. Hear these truths. Absorb them. Make them who you are, because time is running out. The storm is already on its way. And when it hits, there won't be time to build. There will only be time to reveal who you already are. Be the one who is ready. Be the one who is disciplined. Be the one who cannot be broken. Pain is not your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. Stop running from it. Stop numbing it. Stop treating it like a punishment. Pain is the only thing honest enough to show you what needs to change. Every breakthrough you've ever wanted is on the other side of discomfort. Pain reveals where you've settled, where you've lied to yourself, where you've lived beneath your potential. Weak minds curse pain. Strong minds ask, what is this shaping in me? Champions aren't forged in comfort. They're forged in fire. Pain carves away the weakness you refuse to release. Pain builds capacity, depth, hunger. Don't waste it. Don't run. Lean into it and let it forge you into something untouchable. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall back on your preparation. In the storm, you don't magically become stronger, you simply reveal what you've built. That's why the undisciplined crumble. They wait for the spotlight to create strength. But pressure only amplifies what's already there. Champions train in silence, bleed in practice, and when the moment comes, they execute without hesitation. Your future self is cashing checks on the discipline you deposit today. If you're not preparing, you're guaranteeing collapse. Decide now. Either train until pressure feels like fuel, or collapse when the test comes. The choice is yours, but the truth is non-negotiable. You never rise, you only reveal. Fragile minds crumble at inconvenience. Tough minds rise in adversity. Look around. Most people aren't broken by catastrophe, they're broken by inconvenience. A delay ruins their day. A rejection wrecks their confidence. One no and they quit. Why? Because their minds are soft. Built on comfort, not conditioning. But adversity is the great equalizer. It exposes the weak and elevates the strong. Tough minds don't see problems as insults. They see them as invitations. Where others collapse, they rise. Where others complain, they create. Where others stop, they push further. Life is not a smooth road, it's a battlefield. And fragility will cost you everything. Decide right now. No more crumbling at the small things. Build a mind that sees adversity as training, as fuel, as the gym where your strength is forged. The world will write your script if you don't. Every day, society whispers in your ear, fit in, play safe. Follow the script. Buy this. Believe that. Live small. And if you don't write your own story with intention, you'll wake up trapped in a life you never chose. The world doesn't care about your dreams. It cares about control, conformity, consumption. That's why most people are actors in someone else's play, living by someone else's lines. Not you. Not anymore. Take the pen back. Author your life with clarity, with defiance, with purpose so sharp it cuts through every expectation. If you don't, the world will hand you mediocrity and call it success. Your script or theirs, but one will rule your life. Resistance builds power, comfort builds weakness. Every rep that burns, every rejection that stings, every door that slams is not punishment, it's preparation. Resistance is life's way of forging a sharper weapon out of you. Yet most people run from it, numb themselves, seek ease and softness, and then wonder why they feel powerless when life hits back. Comfort is the silent killer of potential. It looks safe, but it strips you of fire, of fight, of growth. Resistance is the gift. It's the weight that builds muscle, the storm that builds roots, the challenge that builds identity. The more you resist resistance, the weaker you become. The more you embrace it, the more unstoppable you grow. Decide, will you hide in comfort and rut, or will you chase resistance and rise? Freedom belongs only to the mind that cannot be broken. True freedom is not money, not status, not applause. It's mastery of your mind. You can have everything and still be enslaved if your emotions control you. If people's opinions shatter you. If fear dictates your choices. But when your mind is unbreakable, when no insult, no failure, no loss can own you, then you are free. Freedom is internal armor. It's the power to remain calm when others panic, to stay unshaken when life shakes the ground beneath you. Most people are prisoners in invisible cages built by doubt, fear, and weakness. Break the cage. Build the mind that bends but never breaks. That is the only freedom worth fighting for. You've heard the truth, you've felt it, and now the question is simple. What are you going to do with it? Because hearing these words means nothing if you walk back into the same patterns that have kept you stuck. This is the moment you stop living like a spectator and start living like the author of your life. You are not fragile. You are not average. You are not here to fit in. You are here to rise. Every breakthrough, every truth we've ripped open in this speech, it all points to one thing. Your life will only change when you change. Your comfort will not save you. Your excuses will not protect you. The world is waiting to test you, and you either step forward as the unshakable force you're meant to be, or you keep hiding behind the old story. But hear me, the old story dies here. Your new life begins the second you choose it. And if you want that energy, that fire, that accountability to keep you moving every single day, then don't wait. Join the official Tony Robbins WhatsApp channel. That's where you'll find the reminders, the challenges, the daily push that makes sure this isn't just another speech you hear, but the spark that creates the transformation you live. The link is below in the description and in the pinned comments. Step into it. Step into you. This is Tony Robbins' track, and if this message hit you, if it shook something awake inside you, then subscribe right now and make sure you never miss another breakthrough. Write in the comments what part of this speech lit the fire in you, because declaring it makes it real. And remember, don't just listen and leave, join the WhatsApp channel today. The link is right below in the description or in the pinned comments. That's your lifeline, your community, your daily spark. Your old life ends the second you decide it does. So decide now.
What if I told you that one sentence could reprogram your entire identity? Not your to-do list, not your goals, not your vision board, but your identity. Because here's the truth no one told you. You don't get what you want. You get who you are. And who you are is coded, hardwired, sculpted by what you repeat – and what you emotionally feel when you repeat it. In this video, I'm going to rip the mask off your old programming and show you how one sentence, 10 minutes a day, and raw emotional repetition can rebuild your identity, redirect your destiny, and quite literally recode your reality. So listen close. This isn't fluff. This is warfare for your future. I Command It programs identity, not just intention. When you speak the words, I command it, you are doing far more than uttering a phrase. You are engaging the most powerful mechanism available to you, the power to shift identity at the subconscious level. This is not a motivational gimmick. It is not a trick to feel better. It is a neurological trigger, a command to the nervous system, the brain, the spirit, to reorient and reprogram. It's not about the hope that something will happen. It's about the decision that it must, and when that decision is spoken aloud with certainty, you begin to access the ultimate force, your identity. Most people go through life setting goals, listing intentions, even visualizing dreams. They do the morning routines, write the affirmations, and chase the vision boards, but they're missing one thing. They haven't changed the identity behind the actions. That's why they sabotage, that's why they start and stop, because you can't outperform the identity you believe you are. You can write, I want to be rich, but if your identity says, I'm not worthy of wealth, your actions will betray your goals. You can say, I want to get fit, but if your identity whispers, I've always been lazy, your discipline will crumble under pressure. Identity is the thermostat of your life. It doesn't matter what temperature you want, if your internal setting keeps dragging you back to where you've always been. And this is why I command it is not just a phrase, it's an internal override. When said with certainty and consistency, it tells your mind, we're not asking anymore, we're becoming. It doesn't leave room for doubt. You're no longer planting seeds of desire, you're sending instructions. You're programming the software. You're flipping the switch. Think of your brain as a computer, one of the most advanced ever created. Now imagine you've been typing in wishful commands, maybe, hopefully, someday. Those don't execute anything. But a command, a direct line of code with absolute clarity, I command discipline, I command strength, I command power, that reprograms the system. The subconscious doesn't resist a command, it responds to it. It aligns with it. The power behind I command it is that it bypasses the indecisive, hesitant part of your brain and taps into your deepest neurological programming, the part that controls behavior, emotional response, and pattern recognition. The subconscious mind doesn't differentiate between truth and repetition. It believes what it hears often. So when you begin your day with I command it, you aren't simply setting an intention. You are day by day building a new identity through linguistic force and embodied action. Let's go deeper. Identity isn't something you're born with, it's something you install. It's not fixed, it's flexible, and it gets shaped through experiences, feedback, and most importantly, language. The most powerful way to accelerate the shift from who you are to who you want to become is to shift your self-diagram. Because language is identity. The words you speak become the beliefs you carry, and the beliefs you carry determine the behaviors you repeat. I command it is assertive. It is final. It leaves no room for negotiation with fear, doubt, or distraction. It confronts the unconscious stories that say, I can't, I'm not ready, I'm too broken, and replaces them with identity-rich declarations. When you say, I command focus, your brain stops scanning for excuses and begins scanning for strategies. When you say, I command progress, your emotions stop seeking comfort and start leaning toward challenge. You begin to embody a different energy, one that doesn't just want more but expects more. There's a biological transformation that follows this. Words, especially those said with high emotion, change your physiology. They alter your posture, your breathing, your state. State creates action. Action reinforces belief, and belief rewires identity. So the more you declare I command it and back it with movement, the faster you reshape your internal blueprint. We've all been programmed. Whether you realize it or not, your current identity was not self-selected. It was assembled. From childhood, you've been absorbing signals from family, from school, from trauma, from social conditioning. You were told what you are: smart, slow, loud, weak, average, angry, anxious, awkward, talented. Those labels got repeated so often, you believe them. And belief is powerful. It filters every decision. But here's the key. You can override old programming with new commands, not by whispering, maybe someday I'll change, but by rising up and saying, I command my shift. That moment, that declaration tells your subconscious, we're not living by default anymore. We are now operating by design. Command language is how leaders communicate. It's how athletes prep. It's how elite performers align their internal and external reality. Before stepping into the arena of life, they prime their identity, not by chance, but by choice. They don't leave their mindset to the weather, they dictate their state before their state dictates them. And I command it is a tool to take that authority. You've got to understand this. The nervous system responds to clarity. The body doesn't follow fog. But when you declare with force what you are, the system aligns. You begin to act like the version of you that already owns the result. You eat differently. You walk taller. You say no to distraction. You write the plan. You follow through, not because the task changed, but because you did. Because the identity driving the action leveled up. And here's where the magic happens. When your identity shifts, your standards rise. What used to be good enough becomes unacceptable. What used to be scary becomes fuel. The old stories get overwritten, not because they disappear, but because you're no longer obeying them. You've installed a new voice, and that voice commands. Now this takes repetition. You can't say it once and expect change. You've got decades of mental programming to confront. But that's the opportunity. That's the power. You get to rebuild. One command at a time. One morning at a time. One declaration, spoken with fire, lived with action, until it becomes who you are. Imagine waking up tomorrow and instead of saying, "Ugh, I'm tired," you say, "I command energy. I command purpose. I command this day to bend in my favor." That's not fantasy. That's building a mental environment where only growth can survive. It's setting the tone before the noise of the world sets it for you. Most people live in reaction. They wait for the world to give them permission to rise. But those who build extraordinary lives don't wait. They command. And that command creates momentum. You speak it, you move with it, you write it down, you visualize it, you let it saturate your habits, your schedule, your body, your soul. That's how you reinforce the shift. That's how you install the upgrade. Let me be clear. This is not about arrogance. This is about ownership. This is not pretending you're invincible. It's recognizing you've been passive for too long. That the old language, "I'll try, we'll see, maybe later," has kept you small. I command it is not about controlling the world. It's about commanding yourself, your focus, your behavior, your choices. And when you do that consistently, deliberately, relentlessly, you don't just change your mornings, you change your identity. And when your identity changes, your life follows. Your first 10 minutes dictate your next 10 years. There is a sacred window of time each morning when your life is most malleable, most programmable, and most exposed to influence. Yet this moment is also the most abused, the most neglected, the most underestimated. Your first 10 minutes after waking up are not just a transition from sleep to consciousness. They are the first brushstroke on the canvas of your day. And what most people don't realize is this: that brushstroke carries through the entire painting. Because in those first 10 minutes, you set your rhythm. You choose your frequency. You define your emotional chemistry. And that choice echoes forward, not just for the rest of the day, but for years to come. People talk about the importance of mornings like it's just a productivity hack. But this isn't about getting up early for the sake of early. It's not about ticking off habits for Instagram aesthetics. This is about leadership, self-leadership. kind that either defines your destiny or slowly decays it. Those 10 minutes, they reveal everything. Your discipline, your focus, your identity, your values, they all show up the moment you open your eyes and decide, do I lead today or do I follow? Do I respond with power or do I drift with passivity? The reason your first 10 minutes are so powerful is because of what's happening inside your brain. When you wake up, your mind is in a transitional state between theta and alpha brainwaves, what neuroscientists call the most programmable state of consciousness. In this window, your subconscious is still wide open. Your guard is down. Your habitual thoughts are forming. What you say to yourself, what you think about, what you focus on, it all gets imprinted deeper and faster than at any other point in the day. In that moment, you're not just waking up, you're coding. You're writing the program that will either guide you to growth or keep you repeating the same cycles. Now here's the truth most people ignore. If you don't intentionally own those first 10 minutes, the world will. The outside world is always ready to flood your system. Emails, messages, headlines, noise, fear, distractions. If the first voice you hear is the world's, then your day becomes a reaction, a response, a defense. You're no longer in command, you're in survival mode. And when you repeat that process over days, months, years, what happens? You build a life based on reaction instead of creation. You train your nervous system to expect chaos instead of clarity. And one day you wake up, not just overwhelmed by the day, but unsure of who you've become. But if you take those 10 minutes and treat them as sacred, as strategy, you shift everything. You move from reacting to leading. You move from being a follower of circumstances to becoming a commander of your course. That's why the first 10 minutes of your day are not about the time, they're about the tone. And the tone you choose programs your identity and directs your behaviors. Your identity drives your standards shape your actions, and your actions determine your future. That's the ripple, that's the chain reaction, which means the tiny decisions you make in that small window are not small at all. They are foundational. Most people don't connect the dots. They think it's just a few minutes, and they give that time away freely, checking the news, checking notifications, checking out a presence. But nothing in life is neutral. Everything you do is either reinforcing who you were or constructing who you are becoming. Those 10 minutes are not just mental space. They are votes for your future self. They are investments in your identity. Every time you begin the day with intention, you are casting a vote for the future you want. Every time you begin with distraction, you are voting for more drift. That's why high achievers, performers, and leaders don't leave their mornings to chance. They script them. They ritualize them. They protect them like sacred ground. Because they understand this. The way you begin is the way you become. It's not about having perfect mornings. It's about consistent intention, clarity, energy, vision. These are not luxuries. They are fuel. And the way to access them is through discipline in the moments where most people are drifting. Let's be brutally honest. How do most people wake up? They reach for their phone before they've even said good morning to themselves. They scroll. They consume. They start comparing. They start reacting. In less than 10 minutes, their mind has already been hijacked by someone else's agenda. Their nervous system is flooded with noise. Their attention has been fragmented. And what happens after that? They try to get back control, but it's too late. The day already has them. They're now behind, rushing, catching up. Their energy is chaotic, their mood is fragile, their decisions are reactive, and their goals take a back seat. But there is another way. And it begins with the decision to own the first 10 minutes of your day like your life depends on it. Because it does. It begins by creating a space before the world invades. A space to align, to clarify, to prepare. What does that look like? It's not complicated, it's intentional. You wake up, and instead of reaching for the phone, you reach inward. You breathe deeply, you sit in stillness. You ask the question, who do I need to be today to honor the life I am building? You speak declarations that anchor your identity. You write down your thoughts. You visualize the one win that will move your mission forward. You move your body to awaken energy. You command your focus before anything else tries to. Why does this matter so much? Because over time, your life is not shaped by what you do occasionally. It's shaped by what you do first. What you do when no one's watching. What you do before the world gets a say. The first 10 minutes are your leadership window. It's where you declare, this is who I am, this is what matters, this is the direction I choose. And when you repeat that ritual with commitment, it compounds. One day of power becomes 2, then a week, then a month, until one day you look back and realize you are no longer reacting to life, you are directing it. And let's talk about identity, because that's what this is really about. It's not about hacks or productivity systems, it's about who you are becoming. When you wake up and choose power, you remind yourself that you are not a victim of the world. You are a force in it. When you rise with clarity, you remind your brain that purpose is greater than pressure. You remind your brain that purpose is greater than pressure. When you start your day with alignment, you build resilience for everything that comes after. You are not just checking a box. You are forging a mindset. You are practicing presence. You are constructing a character that can carry the weight of your dream. Too many people wait for the world to affirm their power, but the world will not do that. You have to build it within. You have to declare it in silence, before the noise, before the emails, before the expectations. That's what the first 10 minutes are for. To define your direction before the day tells you who to be. And when you do that over and over again, the compound effect is staggering. Your confidence builds, your habits solidify, your results multiply. Not because the days are perfect, but because the direction is clear. Every storm becomes easier to weather when you wake up already anchored. This isn't theory, this is performance science. Athletes use this. Executives use this. Warriors, leaders, visionaries. Anyone who's operating at a high level knows that if you lose the morning, you fight uphill for the rest of the day. They understand that the brain is shaped by patterns. That intention becomes identity when repeated under pressure. And the first 10 minutes are the ultimate training ground. Now, some people will say, but I'm not a morning person. And to that I say, you are what you practice. You are what you repeat. Morning isn't a personality trait, it's a strategy. It's a decision. You don't have to love it at first. You just have to, you lead it. And eventually you'll realize it's not about being a morning person, it's about being a purpose-driven person who refuses to start their day in defeat. So here's the truth. Your first 10 minutes are not just about the day ahead, they're about the decade ahead. Because when you take those 10 minutes seriously, when you own them, protect them, direct them, you start building a life that reflects your highest value. You start carving out a future that is not reactionary but revolutionary, not ordinary but intentional, not rushed but aligned. That is how you turn days into momentum and momentum into a legacy. Most people won't do it. They'll keep waking up into the chaos, thinking their day is random, their direction unclear, their emotions out of control. But that's not you. You're here because you know better. And so is the world. And with a little practice and prayer and a partner like you, make it so much easier. But no one can do it for you. Most people won't do it. They're too busy. They're too, because you know that the world doesn't shape you. You shape you. And that shaping begins the moment you open your eyes. Every single morning you are standing at a crossroads, drift or design, distraction or direction, reaction or rise. And that choice doesn't take an hour, it takes 10 minutes. Just 10. The most powerful 10 minutes of your entire life. Repetition with emotion rewires reality. Human beings are not shaped by information alone. They are shaped by emotion. What you feel, not just what you know, carves deep grooves in your neurology. And when that emotion is paired with repetition, when it is experienced again and again in a specific direction, it begins to rewire how you see the world, how you respond to it, and ultimately how you define yourself within it. Repetition on its own builds familiarity. Emotion on its own creates intensity. But when you combine both, repetition with emotion, you generate transformation. You go beyond knowledge. You enter the realm of identity programming. You begin to rewire reality. Most people misunderstand how change actually happens. They think it's about logic. They think if they just read enough books, take enough notes, or write enough goals, they'll shift. But they miss the core ingredient. The nervous system doesn't change because of logic. It changes because of experience. You don't remember facts, you remember feelings. You don't replay data, you replay moments that were emotionally charged. That's how your brain prioritizes what matters, by measuring the emotional impact of a moment and encoding it more deeply. Repetition with emotion becomes a tool for consciously constructing those moments. It becomes a strategy for conditioning new patterns into your physiology. When you repeat a phrase, a movement, a visualization, or a behavior with intensity, when your voice, your body, and your breath match that repetition, you are literally carving new neural pathways. You are giving your brain a reason to let go of old programs and adopt new ones. This isn't motivation, this is neuroscience. You're using the language of the body emotion to speak directly to the part of the brain responsible for identity, behavior, and long-term memory, the limbic system. That's why affirmations don't work for most people. They say the words, but they don't feel them. They repeat the statement, but there's no charge, no emotional involvement. The nervous system doesn't register a flat affirmation. It doesn't care about words that are mumbled or whispered without belief. But say something with power. Stand tall, breathe deeply, ignite your voice, and repeat it again and again, and suddenly your subconscious is listening. Suddenly your body begins to align. That's the difference. That's the gateway from information to transformation. Let's look at the structure of belief. Every belief you hold was once a thought, repeated with enough emotional weight that it embedded itself into your identity. Whether positive or negative, it followed the same process. Someone told you something, maybe you heard it once, maybe you heard it 1,000 times, but at some point it meant something, it struck you, you felt it, and you believed it. Then you started repeating it, either out loud or silently. And with each repetition, it became more real. That's how a child starts to believe, I'm not good enough, or I don't belong, or I'm always going to struggle. Not because they were born with that thought, but because it was repeated with emotion until it rewired their view of self. But that process also works in reverse. You can use it to uninstall old beliefs and install new ones. You can take the same mechanism that wired limitation into your system and use it to wire power. You start with language. Not just any language, but emotionally charged language. Words that cut through the noise. Words that strike the nervous system. Words that feel like a command. Then you repeat those words, not once, not occasionally, but daily, rhythmically, forcefully. You do it while moving your body. You do it while visualizing your future. You do it while breathing with intensity. That's how you make the nervous system listen. That's how you change what's automatic. Because make no mistake, your life is a reflection of what's automatic. You don't live by what you want. You live by what you've rehearsed. Your reactions, your habits, your emotional triggers, they are all products of repetition. That's why change feels hard. You're not just making a decision. You're confronting thousands of repetitions that came before. And if you want to overwrite those, you have to out-remeet them. You have to introduce a higher frequency of thought, paired with a higher level of emotional engagement. Living with anger, that's how new patterns take root. Athletes do this instinctively. Before every performance, they rehearse not just the motion, but the emotion. They visualize the game-winning shot, not just to see it, but to feel it. Over and over again. They practice with intensity because they know that when the pressure hits, the body will default to what's been repeated most. If fear has been rehearsed, fear will win. But if power has been rehearsed, if victory has been rehearsed, then confidence takes over. And that same principle applies in life. When you rehearse strength more often than weakness, strength becomes the default. When you rehearse faith more often than doubt, faith becomes automatic. It's not just about the words you speak, it's about how you speak them. If you say, I am powerful, in a bored, quiet voice, your system won't shift. But say it with fire, with certainty, with breath in your lungs and presence in your body. Say it while standing, while moving, while locking eyes with yourself in the mirror, and something changes, something clicks. Your voice becomes a trigger. Your body becomes a conductor. And the repetition becomes more than mental, it becomes cellular. Emotion is the glue that binds the repetition to your nervous system. Without it, repetition is weak. With it, repetition becomes unshakable. That's how trauma gets encoded, because a moment of intense emotion gets replayed so often it becomes a part of the identity. But that's also how breakthroughs happen. When you feel something deeply, when you decide with emotion, when you reinforce that decision with relentless repetition, you begin to carve a new path through the jungle of your old patterns. And every repetition makes that path clearer. Easier to walk, easier to trust. Rewiring reality doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing which version of reality you want to reinforce. There are always multiple interpretations at the same moment. Repetition with emotion gives you the ability to reinforce the one that empowers you. If you've lived most of your life repeating, I'm not enough, you can just as easily start repeating, I am built for this. If your pattern has been, I always fail, you can install, I always rise. But it won't stick the first time, or the fifth, or the 10th. It takes saturation. It takes consistency. It takes emotional intensity applied again and again until the new belief feels more familiar than the old one. You are not changing reality itself, you are changing your lens. You are changing the internal code that decides what you notice, what you believe, and what you expect. That shift alone alters your entire experience of the world. A person who repeats with emotion, opportunities are everywhere, will begin to see opportunities others miss. A person who repeats, I create breakthroughs, will start taking actions others fear. This isn't magic, it's mechanics. It's how the brain filters information. It pays attention to what's been rehearsed. With emotion, it deletes what doesn't match that pattern. So the real question is, what are you rehearsing? What have you been repeating? What phrases do you whisper to yourself when no one's listening? What emotional states do you practice daily? Resentment or gratitude? Fear or courage? Scarcity or certainty? Because whatever you rehearse the most becomes your truth, and the more you repeat it with feeling, the more real it becomes. Not just in your mind, but in your behaviors, your results, your relationships, and your future. This is why emotional mastery is so critical. If you can generate elevated emotion on command, joy, power, passion, faith, you now have a weapon that can supercharge your repetition. You're no longer a passive participant in your conditioning. You become the architect. You start designing the beliefs you want instead of inheriting the ones you were given. And every time you repeat those beliefs with emotion, you reinforce the version of yourself that can live them out. People spend years trying to change their circumstances without realizing their circumstances are just reflections of their internal repetitions. If you want to change your outer world, you have to start by changing your inner soundtrack. And not just once, but daily, with fire, with emotion, with the kind of certainty that tells your system, this is the new standard. And then you hold that line. You repeat it in the car, in the shower, on the run, in the mirror. You speak it until you believe it. You believe it until you embody it. You embody it until your reality reflects it. You're not just learning something new, you're becoming someone new. And that process requires emotional engagement. The brain rewires faster when you're emotionally involved. It listens more closely. It adapts more rapidly. That's why pain creates change, but so does purpose. You don't have to suffer to rewire. You just have to care enough, feel enough, commit enough, and repeat with that feeling until the old patterns no longer make sense. The good news? You don't need to change everything at once. You just need one phrase, one truth, one vision. Repeat it daily with emotion until it becomes who you are. And once it's part of you, the rest aligns. Because the nervous system doesn't just respond to effort. It responds to emotional frequency. Match that frequency. Repeat it relentlessly, and reality bends. You don't need 17 steps. You don't need another 3-hour seminar. You need a moment of decision. Because here's what we uncovered today. First, I command it isn't a phrase. It's a line in the sand. When you say it with conviction, you're not hoping anymore, you're becoming. It programs identity. It overrides uncertainty. You're not asking for change, you're commanding it. Second, your first 10 minutes, they aren't minutes. They're multipliers. They dictate not just your mood, but your motion. Your next 10 years are being rehearsed every morning before your feet even hit the ground. Lead your day or be led by it. Third, repetition with emotion, that's the rewiring tool of the gods. Logic won't save you. Passion will. Emotion plus repetition is how belief becomes biology. It's how your identity gets sculpted. You are what you rehearse, not what you remember. Everything you desire, your next chapter, your next level, your future, it doesn't start with effort, it starts with a decision. And that decision gets installed with repetition, activated in the first 10 minutes of the day and cemented by the way you speak to yourself with emotion. So stop waiting, you're not late, you're right on time. Because today, you just got the key. If this hits you deep, then don't scroll. Command it. Drop I command it in the comments. Smash the like. Share this with someone still asleep. And subscribe, because this channel is your new identity gym. Let's go. This isn't motivation. This is programming.